Alright guys, so in this video we're going to go ahead and start removing the entire intake manifold, which is this top portion, which is the upper part, and the bottom portion right here. I've already removed this stuff right here, but I did take a video of it, so I'll add it all in one clip. I went ahead and took out all the coolant right there. You guys can see it at the bottom. Just took out the plug that goes down there. That way you can start removing these lines right here as well, because all of these are the coolant hoses. There's one right here and there's another one right there as well. So once you do that, you should be able to remove these brackets that are right there, but you have to remove the injectors, which are these right here. And after that, it should come off. And you do have to be careful with these lines because some of them are attached right here, going way to the back. In the previous video, we already removed all of these hoses right here that go to the PCV valves, so we have to worry about that. If your car has a lot of miles, they will most likely break, so just be cautious of that. But let's go ahead and start removing all the 12 mils that go on the intake manifold. Alright, so here's the top part of the manifold removed. Now, I have another manifold, and for some reason, these little plates that are in here, one had fell off on the other one and was just sitting at the bottom of the manifold. I was only able to find one of these screws, so I'm not sure if the other screw got sucked in somewhere into the engine, which maybe could have caused a problem in the other engine. I have no idea, but just one of the screws were sitting at the bottom, and the plate was just sitting in the intake manifold, the bottom portion. So in here, so that plate that was on the intake manifold on the upper part was actually sitting at the bottom, which was pretty interesting. I wonder how that happened. Probably just got loose over time, but luckily with this one that's not the case. And then we can kind of see how much oil buildup there is right there, and that actually looks kind of new. That looks like newer oil. We're gonna go ahead and remove this part as well, but you do have to remove the fuel rails right here with the injectors. So we're gonna go ahead and do that as well. Everything's already disconnected, so we just have to take these bolts off right here to loosen it and then pull it up. Same thing with these right here. These hoses is connected right there, but it should pull up with it. So we are gonna have to disconnect this from the fuel rail. Alright, now with the fuel lines removed and the injectors, which go right here, you can go ahead and start removing these other 12 mil bolts, and that will loosen the bottom portion of the manifold. So it was pretty easy to remove them. I had to take off the brake line right here. You need a special tool in order to remove this steel line. There's some push connects on the inside that you need a special tool for to release it, and I don't have that, so I just disconnected the two bolts at the bottom, which are 10 mils. And then on that side I was trying to remove that, but it wasn't coming off, which is the other side of the fuel line. I didn't want to break it, so I just stopped at that point, and I took off the two bolts right there. And then there are these little black pieces that go right here. Make sure to save those. and I actually just threw it on the floor because I wasn't sure what it was. So let me go find that really quick. But there's a total of 4 of these. There is actually one hose right here that goes to the bottom. So what you could do is you could remove the throttle body, or you can just try to disconnect it that way. I know it's kind of hard to do it with the manifold on there and the throttle body, so you might have to remove it, but I'll see how I do it right now on my end. Alright, so here's now everything removed. In order to remove this part right here, I actually just took this hose off, and it made it a lot easier for me in order to slide this off. It wasn't that difficult to remove. So once you take that clamp off, it's just going to slide right off. And then you can pull out the entire intake manifold from the bottom. Alright, so here's the lower part of the manifold. Here's the upper part of the manifold. I'm going to put them back together. That way I know where all the bolts go and I don't lose anything. But I am putting them in bags. That way I know which one is which. For the most part, everything is removed. So we're going to put it back on there. And then we'll go ahead and start removing a few more things. Here are the fuel lines with the injectors. They all came out as one piece. Just had to disconnect these and remove the 2 bolts that go right there. I pulled it up on both sides. Don't just pull it up on one because you could mess it up. So pull it on both sides up and they should come out. And then I did remove this. That way I don't have to like remove this line right here. So there's just 2 10 mils. Take that one off, you can pull it up. And I put it back in so it doesn't mess up the seal that's in there. And this one I just put the bolts on there so I don't lose this either, but it's still on the car. I'll have to buy that tool in order to remove the fuel line. That way it doesn't get in the way of anything. But that's pretty much it. These are the bolts for the manifold up here. Then I have the other ones somewhere else so I don't get them mixed up. I'm going to go ahead and put it back on. And these were on the bottom of this right here, like that. So make sure you don't lose these either. And they actually go, I believe it's right here. Yeah, like that. So they were like that on the fuel lines. And I didn't know that those were on there. So just be careful that you don't lose those, because then it'll be uneven if you miss one. But yeah, let's go ahead and put this back on there. Alright guys, so we're going to go ahead and end the video right there. Hopefully you guys found it useful for those of you that are interested in doing this. It wasn't that difficult to do it, just a little bit time consuming because there's a lot of parts that you need to take off, remove, take this, and then take that off. So it did take a little bit of time, but it wasn't on a difficult level. Everything was pretty accessible to get to, so you guys should be able to do it with no problem. You can remove the bottom portion of the manifold as a whole piece and take the entire thing off, but I decided to do it in portions so you guys can see how it's done by removing the top part, the injectors, and then the lower part of the manifold. That way you guys can see how it's done if you guys want to do this. But we're going to add another car to the collection. We got this one right here recently. My girl actually picked this one up, and it's actually pretty sick. I like it a lot. It's a Camaro, as you guys can see. Looks really sick. We're going to go ahead and add it up on the wall. Right there. So as you guys can see, it's growing. It's looking pretty dope. We still got to remove the accessories on the car, so we're going to be doing the AC compressor next, with a few other ones as well. And then we're going to be removing the exhaust as well to disconnect it from the entire exhaust system. So that's going to be coming up in the next few videos. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.